From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Tonight on the Primetime News here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, the Electricity Company of Ghana has released a new timetable to cover the temporary power rationing exercise announced by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum yesterday. Stay tuned for details. Meanwhile, President Mahama has cited the protracted energy crisis among some of the toughest challenges he says has characterized his first 5 months in office. Ministry of Youth and Sports assures JADA volunteers it will soon resume payment of the allowances suspended over allegations of mismanagement. In the ongoing election petition hearing today, the petitioners are claiming a significant victory in the cross-examination of the star witness of the respondents as the NDC General Secretary's words are played back to him in court. In business, government has finally approved the plan of development, giving the go-ahead for work to begin on the 10 projects to become the country's next major oil field after Jubilee. We also have sports, showbiz, and international news all coming up.
With Israel Live.
Our very first story, the Electricity Company of Ghana has settled on a new load management timetable for the temporary power rationing announced by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum yesterday. Joy News' Etonam say it was taking through the new timetable some few hours ago ahead of its publication tomorrow. It takes effect from today, Wednesday, May 29, 2013.
The ECG's Operations Director, Tete Okai, tells Joy News the temporary schedule will last for only 10 days until Friday, June 7. He explains it will be a 3-day cycle.
It's not much different from what we were doing previously. That is the 3-day cycle where you go off during the day. If you go off during the day today, tomorrow you go off in the night. The third day you don't go off. Basically, we are following that same cycle.
According to the new schedule, Greater Accra, including Tema, Ashanti, Western, Central, Eastern and Volta regions will be the most affected for now. The load schedule, he explained, is as a result of generation shortfalls.
At yesterday's meeting, came out that we might have to do load shedding for about a week just to take care of a problem at Takoradi. Hopefully, after this week, that problem should be taken care of. The issue is, as a country, we do not have backup for the generation. So in case you lose any generator, as the situation is now, it means then you have to do some load shedding. And that's something which I always try to put across. Everything running normally, we should be okay. If we should lose any generation, definitely we have to shed load. If you don't do that, you lose the whole system. And that is not the best. So it's better to take off some load, have the system running. When you get it back, you bring back whichever load you have taken off.
He directed customers to call the ECG's hotline for further details. Etonamse, Joy News.
Well, President Mahama has described his first 5 months in office as turbulent and a baptism of fire. The president, in an interview with the BBC, pointed to the energy crisis and the numerous labor unrest as some of his toughest challenges. He, however, insists he remains the right man to turn the country around.
We had an energy crisis that started last year. It is one of the issues that has attracted my complete attention to put enough generation in the system so that we are able to get rid of this load management regime that we currently have. And we're doing so. We're fast-tracking various projects, electricity generation projects, and bringing them on stream faster than we would have. We've been implementing a universal salary structure, and it's popularly called a single spine. And there have been some, challenges coming from the implementation. One, it has led to a spiraling in the wage bill, which we need to keep an eye on if we're not to destabilize the economy. But aside from that, it's created some distortions, between relative groups of professionals, and we are dialoguing with the professional groups and making sure that they understand that we have a responsibility to maintain the integrity of the budget, but at the same time, we will see what can be done in their individual cases. I believe that Ghanaians are discerning people, and they understand the challenges government is facing. And what happens is change in order to create sustainable development is not an easy thing. And so, one, we have to grow the budget, we have to increase revenues so that wages and salaries don't consume nearly 60% of revenues. And at the same time, we not only have to end the current load management crisis, but we need to ensure that we never find ourselves in this situation again. And so that's what I'm looking at, and I guess that Ghanaians understand that. Ghana has come a long way in constitutional governance. We have a fantastic judicial system. There are challenges, I must admit, but I believe that the Supreme Court is able to do its job, and so I'm leaving the Supreme Court to do its job, and I am doing my job. I serve at the pleasure of the Ghanaian people, and the Ghanaian people voted for me. I know we didn't rig that election, and I'm sure the Supreme Court would come out with its verdict.
Now, the President was speaking there to the BBC. Meanwhile, the President has nominated the Commissioner of the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service, SEPS, Major General Carl Mode, as Ambassador Designate. A statement signed by Information Minister Mahama Yariga says the SEPS Commissioner has thus been directed to take his accumulated leave from Monday, June 17, 2013. Deputy Commissioner of SEPS, Isaac Apronti, will take over from him in an acting position as Commissioner of SEPS. Meanwhile, the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service has, in consultation with the Office of the Chief of Staff, made some changes in leadership at the service. The changes are as follows. John Vianney Kunda Nuru, Acting Assistant Commissioner of SEPS, currently stationed at Ho, is transferred to Tema. Isaac T. Abe, Assistant Commissioner of Customs, currently stationed at Sunyani, is transferred to the Kotoka International Airport. Awudu Osman, Acting Assistant Commissioner of Customs, currently stationed at Tema, is transferred to Kumasi. Y.A. Ibrahim, Assistant Commissioner of Customs, currently stationed at Tema, is transferred to the Divisional Headquarters. M.M. Nasiruddin, Assistant Commissioner of SEPS Customs, currently stationed at Kotoka International Airport, is transferred to Sunyani. A.C. Dajo, Acting Assistant Commissioner of SEPS Customs, currently stationed at Kumasi, is transferred to Tema. And Ms. Confidence Nyaji, Chief Collector of Customs, currently stationed at Tema, is transferred to Home. Now, also in consultation with the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority has effected the following changes in the leadership of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Hawau Salifu, Chief Revenue Officer, GRA, currently in the position of Procurement Officer, takes the position of Head of Procurement. A.C. Sechi, Assistant Commissioner of GRA, currently in charge of stores, takes up the position of Assistant Commissioner Training. And Ernestina Asafu-Boache takes up the position of Head of Stores. All the changes, according to the statement, take immediate effect. Now, the National Executive Council of the Ghana Medical Association has expressed its displeasure over the non-payment of conversion differences and its resultant effects of reduced pensions of doctors in the public sector. They are therefore calling on the general public and well-meaning Ghanaians to bring pressure to bear on the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to change their current stance, which is contrary to the directive of the National Labour Commission.
A press conference at Takrade, the president of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Kwabena Opoku Edisei, has expressed displeasure with the National Executive Council with what he said was inaccurate information being fed the public by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission over the recommendation of the Public Sector Joint Standing Negotiation Committee on the pension of doctors. According to him, due to the stance taken by the FWSC, doctors have since January 2010 seen a reduction in the pensions. He also pointed to a publication in the Daily Graphic on Wednesday, May 22, 2013, on the recommendations of the Public Sector Joint Standing Negotiation Committee on the issue of reduced pensions and conversion difference for doctors, which he said was erroneous, mischievous and in bad faith as it did not reflect the true position of the committee. According to him, the report in the publication was actually a recommendation from a subcommittee put together by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to look into the said issues, but was quick to add that the subcommittee did not have the mandate to look at conversion differences, hence could not make any pronouncement on the matter. The GMA is therefore calling on the public to pressurize the FWSC to change its current stance, a move it believes will ensure statutory bodies are respected by both government and labour unions to avert a premature collapse of institutions such as the Labour Commission. Dr. Opoku Edusei also called on the court to deal expeditiously with the matter of conversion difference to safeguard the pensions of doctors.
13 Chinese nationals working on a mining concession at Kutu Krom in the Western region have been arrested, along with 4 others in an operation conducted by officers from the Takwa Divisional Command and Pristia District Command. Western Region Police Commander DCOP Kofi Boache has meanwhile cautioned foreign nationals engaged in illegal mining activities, as well as their Ghanaian counterparts, to desist from the act as they will be dealt with according to the law when caught. William Benjamin Peters reports from the region.
The Chinese who were arrested, aged between 20 and 56 years, were employees of Jaihuan Mining Investment Limited. They were, however, working on a concession of Kutu Krom Resources, a local firm owned by one Philip Ekufu. 2 registered pump-action guns and 7 cartridges were retrieved, and the suspects are being processed for court. The issue of illegal mining happens to be one of the main challenges confronting the Western region and dominated recent discussions during the maiden regional conference of senior police officers in Takoradi. The mining deliberated on proactive and pragmatic strategies to flush out illegal mining operators, as well as foreigners who are not supposed to engage in any form of small-scale mining in the country. According to DCOP Kofi Boache, the operation, coming to the back of the president's inauguration of a task force to deal with the menace, reflects the commitment by the government to support the security agencies.
The performance appraiser of district chief executives in whose jurisdiction mining is going on will be judged by how competent and capable they've been able to fight the illegal mining menace. And I think it's gratifying to note that since that announcement was made, a lot of the DCEs have come out boldly to solicit our support and help in fighting this menace.
He stated some 51 foreign nationals, mainly Chinese, have been arrested in separate galamsey operations on different dates and locations in the Western region in the month of May alone. He also talked about some of the crimes the police have had to deal with in the region and assured the public full investigation have commenced to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. Adding the police command has also intensified patrols and strengthened its intelligence.
We're taking a break now, but we have more stories coming up. Don't go away. One person lost his life while 7 others sustained serious injuries when the top floor of a story building caved in at Pristia Himang, a community in the Pristia Huni Valley district of the Western region. A report by Western regional correspondent William Benjamin Peters.
According to eyewitnesses, the incident happened at about 6 a.m. when the top floor of the structure collapsed, with the fallen debris destroying some nearby buildings in the process. Several belongings of the occupants of the building, as well as some tenants in the nearby structures, were destroyed. Amongst the 7 who sustained serious injuries were some bystanders. Kwamina Battles, a victim, talked about his ordeal.
Free a srubato baby anam tinankasano on a blogger basi nabato but a children me move by no and unkining and be grew free me from say I repim. I say into your whole nebiana who intimiana me for so me who a train me who free a inuma me buy. It me that time no me braba kubato no or ya do until we no no bar until only if you had no not any bacano. Na besia kron so no apra achira hanum nyina wie nti no inside but me ankasa me de on na yade amete hon ma me paste na saade ni nyina ebegu me so.
The district fire commander Joseph Kuranting was part of the rescue team.
We had the information that a storage building has collapsed at Himine, so quickly that was around 6:35 and then by 6:48 6:50 we were at the scene. When we got to the scene, you know the nature of Ghanaians. When this thing happened, they all trooped to the scene. So we had to sort of get everybody back, and then we cordoned the area. Then we assessed the scene. We realized that there were people still in the building, so we had to sort of rescue them and then evacuate. So we had to break the concrete and then cut the iron rods and then make the place accessible. We had about 7 people injured. One was very serious, and as at yesterday evening, we had the information that he's dead.
One of the victims, 40-year-old Kwame Boateng, who was in the structure at the time, had to be quickly rushed to the hospital due to the seriousness of his injuries, but died the next day. The injured have, however, since been treated and discharged. Some officials from the National Disaster Management Organization, as well as the MP for the area and other dignitaries, were at the scene at the time of our visit to assess the situation. Prestia Huni Valley MP Francis Eduble Kofi, in an interview, said investigations were underway, but added he will collaborate with the appropriate authorities on how to educate members of the communities to avert another tragedy. The district NADMO coordinator Idrisu Salifu Mohammed explained that some relief items will be given to the affected as some temporary shelter is provided. The team led by the MP later visited the family members of the deceased, Kwame Boateng, to offer their condolence.
Now, Minister of Youth and Sports Elvis Ifeanyi has assured beneficiaries of the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Agency, GIDA, that government will do everything within its power to pay them their allowances. He said this would be done even before the Ministerial Impact Assessment and Review Committee finalizes its report on ongoing investigations. He made this known at a news briefing earlier today.
The committee was inaugurated by the Minister of Youth and Sports on the 12th of April to help review the operations of GIDA and make recommendations on improving the long-term viability and sustainability of the program. The minister was therefore unhappy that the committee was prejudged by some even before it concludes its work.
People have already started prejudicing and undermining the report. We do not know what the report will be. We do not know what the recommendations will be. And I just want to use your medium to appeal that it's only fair that if a committee has been given work, these are people who are high-level professionals who've taken time off their work and put their integrity on the line and are doing some good work for the nation. So it is only fair that we give them that opportunity. The committee will bring its report. When the report comes out, then we can have a more meaningful discussion.
All payments to service providers of the program have been frozen as investigations go on, and as such, beneficiaries have not been paid since January. The minister said over 400,000 beneficiaries have been affected.
I want to use your medium to assure the beneficiaries that it is because of concern for their plight that we are putting all these measures in place. And so beneficiaries are going to be paid what is owed them, and those that are supposed to be exited, if they've done the 2 years, they will be exited, and then based on the recommendations of the committee, the restructuring will be done, and then we'll look at the way forward.
The committee is expected to present its report within the next 2 weeks.
Now to some legalese. Petitioners in the ongoing hearing challenging the legitimacy of President John Mahama at the Supreme Court are claiming a significant victory in their cross-examination of the respondent's chief witness, the NDC General Secretary. The petitioners today played back an audio tape of an interview Johnson Esiedun Ketia granted an Accra radio station in the aftermath of the 2012 elections to press home their point that he continues to contradict himself.
Lead counsel for the petitioners, Philip Addison, suggested a playback of the recording to help Mr. Esiedun Ketia refresh his memory after he said he was unaware some polling stations had their results cancelled for overvoting and for allowing voting without verification.
Let somebody come out and say that, look, at this particular polling station, there was this voting without verification, and that all the party agents were there and they were, they were accomplices and they allowed it to happen. So let us declare that particular result in that particular polling station null and void. That is the way to address, and the mind the same way. If you open the ballot box and you count, and the number of votes inside the ballot box are found to be in excess of the number that actually voted. There are ways of handling this, or if the votes there are in excess of the registered number of voters in the polling station, that is automatic cancellation of the result in that particular polling station.
After the tape was played, Esiedun Ketia admitted the voice was his after a question was put to him by Philip Addison.
I can confirm that that is my voice.
Good. Did you also hear yourself saying that when there is voting without verification, the results of that polling station ought not to be added to the tally?
My Lord, it is not in that tape. I mentioned that where somebody is able to prove some irregularities, and that is what is on the tape, then you can apply sanctions, and some of the sanctions include nullification of the result.
Did you hear yourself say?
I didn't hear myself say.
You didn't hear yourself say that?
Not at all.
This is what you said. That if the votes there are in excess of the registered number of voters in a polling station, that is automatic cancellation of the results in that particular polling station.
Yes, voted more than number of registered voters. Yes, and I've maintained that one in this court.
Philip Addison shortly after informed the court he had no further questions for the witness, leaving Mr. Esiedun Ketia rather surprised. Counsel for the third respondent waived his right to re-examine his witness, giving the chance to the Electoral Commission's lawyer to put questions to the NDC General Secretary. Earlier, during his cross-examination, lawyer Addison asserted the respondents' affidavits were not up to the over 5,000 they have always claimed, adding they also contained duplications. Meanwhile, the Deputy Commissioner of the EC, Amadou Sule, is next to take the witness box when hearing continues tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court justices hearing the election petition today had cause to reprimand counsel for President John Mahama, Tony Letho, over his conduct in court after he angrily flung a document that was being offered to Johnson Esiedun Ketia to identify.
Addison was cross-examining Johnson Esiedun Ketia on day 24 of the hearing of the election petition and had asked the witness whether he had seen the further and better particulars supplied by the petitioner.
This is the man who talks about respect in the Supreme Court, this kind of behavior.
When counsel seeks to bring that kind of document to court as further and better particulars, I don't know what you expect. The further and better particulars were given in volumes, indicating which paragraph is referred to what, which paragraph is referred to what. And it's not just one volume, there are several volumes. And the matter has been ruled on by this court already about what the legal effect of further and better particulars. They are pleadings.
Philip Addison chided his colleague for the conduct, drawing support from the bench.
Yes, my Lord.
I mean, this behavior is very much on board. Clearly condemnable. You know, your behavior is towards the court. You should know that. Even you have been telling your witness that every time he answers the question, you should say, yes, my Lord, even though that question has been asked by him. Counsel the other side. So you should know that whatever reaction you put up is clearly an affront to the
Apologize to your lordships, my lord. Apologize to your lordships.
The president of the panel also had cause to pass remarks on the conduct, after which Tony Letha apologized. The document was eventually showed to Johnson Esiedun Ketia for cross-examination to continue.
The Social Security and National Insurance Trust has produced documents on its legal battle with the International Tobacco Ghana Limited, requested by the Commission on Judgment Debt to help in its investigation into questionable payments made to the company. This was after the Commission yesterday said it was not happy the other parties in the case, SEPS and the Attorney General, failed to furnish the Commission with documents regarding the payment of over 4 million Ghana cedis to ITG.
The 4 million Ghana cedis paid to International Tobacco Ghana Limited was in connection with a claim for damages and recovery of items seized and auctioned by the then PNDC government. Giving a background to the suit before 2003, Legal Services Manager of SNIT, Peter Hiaingbo, told the Commission, though judgment on the case was entered in January 2004 and the payment to ITG made in 2009, the case was not over as some aspects of the case were still in court.
And the court on the 4th day of January 2004 gave a declaratory judgment in which it ruled that this strain in respect of immovable properties was unlawful. That was a declaratory relief he made on that issue. Now, the counterclaims filed by SNIT was not determined as up to date, has not been determined, raising issues of the indemnity, and also another aspect of it, raising issue of indemnity under the transitional provisions of the Constitution. Those issues have up to now not been determined. Unfortunately, the presiding judge, Justice Akwa, passed on. Shortly after delivering that judgment, he passed on. I have a copy of the judgment here, his declaratory judgment, passed on. So all the other issues that including the counterclaim has been pending ever since.
He accused the AG of failing to protect the rights and interests of parties involved in the case by not officially notifying them about the judgment debt paid, adding there was also no reaction from the AG when they wrote to counter the declarative judgment given by the High Court. The Registrar General's Department, represented by Grace Isahak, was also invited to enlighten the Commission about the processes involved with the registration of trademarks. To aid the Commission in one of the suits by ITG, we sought to seek redress on the sale of its trademark to Meridian Tobacco. Here, Justice Yao Apeo indicated she would be invited again to assist with further investigations.
So we may require you to do some research and then furnish us with some information on how ITG trademarks came to be owned by Meridian Tobacco and whether the necessary processes were gone through after the seizure and then the assignment of these trademarks to Meridian.
Very well,
and we hope you will help us.
The Solicitor General, who was also to represent the AG, was again absent but had earlier indicated she was out of town. Hearing has since been adjourned to June 10.
MPs have urged African leaders to recommit themselves to uniting the continent. According to them, lack of commitment on the part of some African leaders to tackle corruption and religious differences are to blame for the delay in bringing the states together.
In statements on the floor of the House, the Member of Parliament for Subin, Isaac Osei, said the bane of Africa's development is corruption by some government officials and politicians.
It is sad to note that even resource-rich African countries remain poor, while a few individuals become super-rich. It is important that all countries commit to the elimination of corruption, as corruption reduces the resources available for development. The building of institutions dedicated to ensure transparency, probity, and accountability is also critical.
Majority Chief Whip and MP for Asawasi, Alhaji Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, also blamed it on the inability of the leaders to imbibe religious tolerance.
Africans have seemed to divide themselves more on tribal lines, on religious lines. Mr. Speaker, it is sad. The more we tread towards this line, the weaker we become. Because so long as I see you, Mr. Speaker, as a Christian, and therefore I must do everything that will hurt Christianity, I'm hurting myself as a Muslim. My religion and your religion should not divide us. My tribe and your tribe should not divide us.
MP for Anyaso Utium Shelley Ayokoboche was also of the opinion economic integration could advance the agenda.
A continent of over 700 million, and I'm told that the numbers keep increasing, and very soon we'll go over the 1 billion mark in terms of population. And yet, when it comes to trading amongst ourselves, to achieve that economic integration, we only do about 6% amongst ourselves. Majority of the trade is between countries in Africa and countries outside Africa. We are barely able to feed ourselves, Mr. Speaker.
Earlier, the MP for Botiano English Yamanfrum read a statement on the World Telecommunication and ICT Day, which fell on Friday, May 17. Sitting continues tomorrow.
Elsewhere, severe rainstorm has hit part of the Upper West region, especially Dore in the Jirapa district, destroying several properties and construction materials. Several farmlands, roads and dams were all destroyed by the rainstorm, bringing economic activities in the community to a halt. Residents, however, worry the next rains may affect their homes. Rafiq Salam reports from Dore.
The Jirapa district was the worst affected area by Tuesday night's heavy downpour. Houses, trees, farms, gardens and roads were either destroyed or submerged by the rainwater. At Duri, a major part of the trunk road leading to the Lora district was submerged in the water. Even the contractor who was awarded an emergency contract last month to build a retaining wall for the dam was not spared, as some of his construction materials were swept away by the water. Muhaideen Ishaku is the managing director of Sumambo Enterprise Limited, the company working on the retaining wall.
I'm really disappointed, but I'm sad. It was a natural event. It wasn't predicted. I lost some iron rods, some quality pins, and then some wood as well as sand. I expect that they will collaborate with me and look at, and we'll see the way forward so that we can get back to work.
The Upper West Highways Road Area Manager Alex Chumesia Frani says although he cannot quantify the loss in monetary terms, it will drain the resources of the Ghana Highway Authority. The Upper West coordinator of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Alhaji Seidu Bawa, allayed fears of residents who lost properties in the flood, saying his outfit will register them for distribution of relief items.
Definitely compensation, not compensation, but definitely NADMO will come in a way to do the initial assessment and then register whoever that has his garden or source of livelihood around here that has been affected, and then we'll come to their aid. God willing.
Some community members, however, who spoke to Joy News off camera have expressed fears that the next rain may displace many more residents, as Tuesday's rains have weakened most of their homes. Rafiq Salam's report from Duri.
Our government is finally giving its approval to the plan of development for the country's next major oil field, Trinidad and Yira in Tom 10. Government had earlier delayed in approving the plan because it wanted some clarity on the project. A source close to the transaction tells Joy Business government decided to okay the deal because their initial concerns have been addressed. The approval will now allow the partners to go ahead with the development of the field for commercial production by 2015. The partners had earlier argued that if the plan is not approved by government by this Friday, the existing contracts with service providers and investments could be affected seriously. The field is said to have a little over 1 billion barrels of crude oil and can produce about 100,000 barrels a day. Policy analyst and executive director at the Center for Policy Analysis is appealing to government to save the agricultural sector from total collapse. Speaking at the launch of the book Agriculture and Social Development in Ghana On Wednesday morning, Dr. Joe Abe described the sector as being in a sorry state, adding that the only way to revive it is for government to adopt feasible policies.
A key sector is set to employ more than half of the working population on a formal and informal basis and accounts for almost half of GDP and export earnings. Despite its contributions, however, the challenges of the Ghanaian farmer are yet to be fully addressed. The 150-page book dissects the challenges and professes what it says are feasible policies to help tackle them.
The most important issue as a way of helping the farmer to help self is marketing. We keep reading about the fact that in the post-harvest period, the farmer quite often can be stuck with large quantities of produce, and the result is that gluts are created, prices fall, and the farmer may actually be more impoverished because of the hard work. So I think that it becomes important, whatever means we can have. I'm sure that if the cocoa farmer was not guaranteed purchase by the authorities, cocoa may not have developed the way that it has done. So let's solve the marketing problems of the farmers immediately.
One of the 7 authors of the book was unhappy no government official attended the launch, even though they were duly invited.
Their absence here actually is very soul absorbing and heart touching, because for me, without them, the process is incomplete. We cannot find these beautiful findings and then let them lie on the shelves. So if they had been here for us, for maybe they would have helped to even further clarify some of the key findings, and yet make some commitments in terms of resources and even in terms of time and then availability, so that together we can all build. Remember, research is a cycle where you have the problem, then you have to look at how you intervene, and then finally you have to see how you can actually provide the needed budgetary support for that. We may not have the resources to implement these things, but as we find and discover these problems, they serve as sources of motivating us to even, insist that the implementers should always be available.
He says for the country to salvage the economy, it must take the growth of the agricultural sector seriously.
In other business news, the anti-pirated textiles task force has put the activities on hold for the past 10 months, awaiting the implementation of government's plan to reconstitute it by June 12. The Textile Workers Union is, however, worried the delay in activities of the task force has buoyed business for importers of pirated prints. Abigail Adoma-Kointri has more.
The local textile industry has been battling with pirated Ghanaian prints imported onto the market. The Anti-Pirated Textiles Task Force, drawn from stakeholders in the sector, was inaugurated in 2010 to seize and destroy all pirated prints on the market as a means of curbing the practice. The Joint Task Force has since been in operations until August last year, a situation the Textile Workers Union is unhappy about.
We have had some meetings with the new Minister of Trade. He has given us assurance that they are going to reactivate the task force and the vetting committees. On the 12th June has been, fixed for the inauguration of the task force, but I personally have a very big problem with these delays. The union is worried. We are worried because our members, some are losing their jobs, some who are working are not being paid adequately just because of these challenges that can't be solved by government.
The task force has already seized about 2,400 pirated prints, but has yet to destroy them as the activities have been suspended. The mode of destruction of the seized prints remains a contention, but the union maintains it must be in line with the laws of the World Trade Organization.
Politicians feel that why do we destroy them? Why don't we, give them to orphanage and all this thing? Orphanage for what? You see, the problem, perhaps they don't understand the issues well. WTO agreement does not permit giving this thing to charity. No, it is not allowed. If they want us to debate it, you create a forum for those politicians who are advocating for, the distribution of this thing to the charity. They should come and then prove it. Somebody's design. Then they should rather give this back to the owners of the designs, but not to give it to charity. For what?
He believes the textile industry could generate employment for the youth if the inherent illegalities are corrected.
And if government is committed to creating jobs for the youth, I think this is an area that the state cannot afford to, ignore. I think that we should be really serious and committed to ensuring that on the 12th doesn't pass with nothing happening.
The mother of a Chinese baby rescued from a sewage pipe says the baby fell in accidentally. The mother, who has not been named, reportedly told police she unexpectedly gave birth on the toilet and that the baby slipped into the sewer.
The mother is reported to have raised the initial alarm despite not admitting it was her baby until later. The baby is currently recovering in hospital after being cut free from the pipe in Jinhua City on Saturday. China's Shenzhen News reported that the 22-year-old mother told police she could not afford an abortion. She was unmarried and kept her pregnancy secret. She said she tried to catch the baby after unexpectedly giving birth, but that he slipped into the sewer. She then alerted her landlord. The mother did not think she could afford to look after the baby, so she did not tell anyone that the baby was hers. She went to work after he had been rescued and only admitted the baby was hers when confronted by police later. Police are continuing to investigate whether the incident was an accident or the result of a deliberate act, reports Xinhua.
Up to 90 Afghans held at Camp Bastion are set to return to the Afghan authorities after their lawyers argued that the detention could be unlawful. 8 of the men said they had been held for up to 14 months without charge, according to the legal team.
Secretary Philip Hammond had told reporters that releasing them could endanger British troops. But later, the Ministry of Defence said it had now found a safe route for their return. The move came after the BBC was shown documents detailing how 85 suspected insurgents were being held at Camp Bastion, the main British base in Afghanistan. The Defense Secretary later confirmed British forces were holding 80 to 90 detainees. UK lawyers acting for 8 of the men being detained said their clients were arrested by British soldiers in raids in villages in Helmand and Kandahar provinces and have been held for between 8 and 14 months without charge. There has been a bar on detainees being transferred to Afghan authorities since last November because of allegations that detainees were being abused. Hammond said the UK government has been working with its Afghan counterpart to find a safe way to resume transfers of detainees to the Afghan judicial system. Later on Wednesday, Defense Ministry officials said once the policy and legal obligations have been met, direction will be given to restart transfers.
A 21-year-old suspect arrested earlier over the stabbing of a French soldier near Paris on Saturday has admitted to the crime. The man, named only as Alexander, was a convert to Islam who wanted to attack a representative of the state. That'll be all by way of international news. In sports now, former Italy international Christian Vieri and former world tennis number 5 Mara Santangelo are set to visit the Menaye School of Hope in Agona-Safo in the central region to interact with over 500 students of the school. The duo is in Ghana at the invitation of Menaye Muntari, wife of Black Stars midfielder Sule Ali Muntari.
For the Italian national team and professionally for clubs like AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Monaco, among others, as a striker. The 39-year-old is visiting Ghana for the first time after accepting an invitation from Menaye Muntari following a charity event in Milan 3 weeks ago to raise funds for the Menaye School of Hope. Together with his compatriot and tennis player, Mara Santangelo, the two will interact with over 500 pupils of the Menaye School of Hope in Agona-Asafo in the central region on Thursday, May 30. Christian Vieri, who won the Coppa Italia with Inter in 2005, would hope to take the students through a one-day football clinic. The two-time Italian Player of the Year is excited with the step he has taken in giving hope to students of the Menaye School of Hope.
I wanted to come find the kids and see how it is here, if I can give a hand, do something. So with Menaye we talked 3 weeks ago and I said, if we can do this as soon as possible, I would be happy to come. We have to have hope, you have to go to school, you have to study, and I think it's the most important thing to go to school and study and get a degree and get a scholarship. So we will be going to school with the kids, and I think studying, doing sports is very important in life.
Mara Santangelo, who rose to world number 5 in tennis in 2007, is visiting Africa for the first time and can hardly wait to take the kids through a tennis clinic in a bid to give them hope for a brighter tomorrow.
I always said one time I want to visit Africa and help the kids and give them my experience like a tennis player and stay with kids and do this trip. Okay. I want to play with them, yes, tennis clinic. I want to stay with them, play with them tennis and help them and see what's the life here, because I think it's completely compared to Europe, so I'm excited to visit your country.
The Menaye School of Hope turns 10 years next year and provides free education to over 500 students in Agona-Asafo. Founder Menaye Muntari is beaming with excitement at the achievements of the school.
We have had over 500 children graduate from Menaye School of Hope, and it's just ongoing. The kids we're providing free education, so that's something that you can never take away from them, and I'm very proud of what we're doing at the Menaye School of Hope with the project.
New Hiplife sensation Atom, who resides in Abekan Paz, a suburb of Accra, says he's poised to put his neighborhood on the rap map. To walk the talk, he has ventured into the business of music by setting up a record label and has signed on 2 new artists.
Let me introduce to you Hiplife artist on the blog. Known in real life as Ebenezer Afumlabi, Atom has been on the music scene for about 2 years. Apart from his music career, he is also a music producer and owns a record label, as well as produces his own music.
I'm planning to use music as a business because I'm a producer as well. I've got my own record label, Reloaded Records, and I've signed 2 new artists on it.
Fellow Hiplife artist TJ of Sashiwo fame is Atom's inspiration, and he says he is here to offer assistance to the underprivileged in the music industry. So what impact is his music making in the industry?
Just following the era that we are in now, just making the youth happy and everyone involved.
All right, let's take a close look at his shadow.
That's Rolex. Yeah. That's my my package. As like every musician or every artist, you need to be known wherever you are, like a brand. Yeah, so that's my brand.
And your shirt too is what?
It's a designer shirt.
Which design?
Armani.
Armani.
Yeah, Jordan sneakers.
Oh, okay, and blue and it's beautiful, the shades.
Yeah, it's a designer one too.
Which one is that?
Giorgio Armani.
Hey, very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And your haircut, I'm sure, is also a designer haircut.
Right, so in the bulletin, a quick look at our top stories. The Electricity Company of Ghana has released a new timetable to cover the temporary power rationing exercise announced by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum yesterday. Meanwhile, President Mahama has cited the protracted energy crisis among some of the toughest challenges he says has characterized his first 5 months in office. He was speaking in an interview with the BBC. The Ministry of Youth and Sports has assured JADA volunteers will soon resume payment of their allowances suspended over allegations of mismanagement of the program. In the ongoing election petition hearing today, the petitioners are claiming a significant victory in their cross-examination of the star witness of the respondents, as the NDC General Secretary's words were played back to him in court. In business, government has finally approved the plan of development giving the go-ahead for work to begin on the 10 project to become the country's next major oil field after Jubilee. That'll be all for the bulletin. For more news, though, log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.